I think we have enough people. So hi, morning, as I said, my name is Dr. Nuratu. I am a career and leadership strategist and the founder of She Mentors Initiative. And we will be anchoring the 360-degree strategy for growing your business masterclass today in partnership with Eva Wright and Delali.com. So I'm very excited to have you all join us today. It's the end of the year. It's the time to start thinking how to shape up your business in terms of strategic goals, financial management, what tools you need to retain your customers or pivot or to address some challenges that I know we all have in this climate when it comes to setting up and growing businesses. So before we proceed, I would like to give you a little bit of background on She Mentors Initiative. So She Mentors Initiative is a network of women. This masterclass includes men, but however, at the core of our work is we are a virtual community designed to provide women with mentorship and career coaching, as well as different entrepreneurship guidance and academic guidance for how you grow your career and how you can get the best out of whatever brand that you have created for yourself. Our mission is to connect the next generation of young women with advice, opportunities, insights, and tools to succeed in the workplace and business. Today, as we have started, we're having, this is the agenda. The presentation will be by two of our amazing experts, which I would introduce as we go along. We will have a fireside chat at 12:30, and we will be answering some of your questions from the chat. The Delali team will collate all the questions you have. We do have some of your questions that you put in the registration forms, and we'll be addressing those in the fireside chat. But as the conversations go along and you hear from our experts today, some things will come to mind and we'll take those down and we'll discuss them. Hopefully we should be wrapping up by 1:30 p.m. Hopefully we are pretty confident that we will wrap up by then. So what you should expect to achieve or to have learned by the time we finish class is to truly understand what it takes to develop an organization vision and goal setting, which means what are your values as an organization, how you build your culture as a growing business, or even if you're an individual who provides services without like a complete business entity, but you have services that you provide, you would learn how to determine what your goals would be for the year 2022. And a lot of questions came in about customer retention strategies. We would be diving into those in terms of how you can get the best out of your existing customer base, how you can attract new customers and stuff like that. Then we have the Delali team will give us a lot of insight into financial planning for business and how you set prices for your products and services and so on. Our very, very, very esteemed speaker for today, the first speaker, is Ms. Elizabeth Taylor. A lot of you I know have heard about her. She is a fellow of the Archbishop Tutu Institute of Management and Consultant. She's also a certified mental health first aider, certified management consultant, a Service Quality Institute certified customer service trainer. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Leadership mentor and certified executive life coach. She is an experienced facilitator. Her training repertoire includes leadership succession planning, customer strategy, things we'll be talking about today, leadership and management development, personal development, and much more. Liz covers a lot of ground as a life executive coach and a speaker, and is an expert in goals alignment. I mean, you can read what we have on the board, and as Liz starts to speak, you will see all her experience seep through in how eloquent she delivers her training sessions. She is currently the COO of Cosgrove. Our next speaker is Ibrahim Bashir. Ibrahim is a business development expert with a knack for ideas and solving problems. He set up 4 multi-million-dollar companies around Nigeria at an investment holding group where he managed a portfolio of over $20 million. He has a deep-seated knowledge in the technology sector in Nigeria, having been actively involved in web technology since 1996, as well as consulting on business development and strategy. In 2018 and 2019, he oversaw the expansion of the Technology Incubator Initiative for a Nigerian government enterprise, where more than 50 startups have been incubated since its inception in 2013. Ibrahim is the founder and CEO of Delali.com, an income and expense management tool for SMEs in Nigeria. I would stop here so that we will stay on track with timing and have Liz begin her presentation. Liz, are you ready?
Let me a second. I was trying to unmute. Sometimes that unmute button runs away from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello,
everybody. Hi, Ibrahim. Hi, Nuratu. Good morning, everybody. Stella, thank you for coming in on time. You were the first to come in. We appreciate that. Okay, I'm just going to jump feet first into what we're meant to be discussing today. First of all, I'll look at, let me a second. Let me share my screen. Okay, first of all, I'll look at organizational vision and goal setting with an emphasis on goal setting, because I find that in talking with a lot of SME or entrepreneurs or business people, they tend to focus on the vision and they leave the goal setting away. And that's actually the crux of the matter. If you are not able to deliver on your goals, you won't be able to deliver on your vision. Then after that, I will jump right into customer retention strategies. So that's me for now. So we'll just take it from there. Okay. So what's an organizational goal? What does it mean? I run a goal setting workshop for individuals every year. I've been running it for almost 7-8 years now. And it's so easy to talk to people and tell them this is what your goal, your life's goal should be. But then when we flip it as an organization, that's when it now becomes really cloudy. But an organization's goal, so similar to an individual's goal, is a desired future state that the organization attempts to realize. It's as simple as that. Where do you see yourself? It's a blueprint specifying how you allocate your resources, how you schedule your time, how you schedule your resources, and other actions necessary for attaining your goals. It involves planning at the most fundamental level, and is the most controversial management function as well. So it's quite interesting, because some people feel that an organization should just go with the flow so that they are responsive. But you know what? When you just go with the flow, your opponent, if you're in a boxing ring, will get more hits than misses. You will be at the mercy of their punches. So you need to study your opponent, study the environment, and plan with that in mind. An organizational goal is a living document. It has a fixed target, and 100% buy-in is required. Why do I say 100% buy-in is required? Because, sorry, forgive me if I cough, because I have a flu. I'm nursing some lemsip here, so forgive me on my voice as well. Okay, so why do I say that 100% buy-in is required? 100% buy-in is required because if management is going in a particular direction, and then middle management is going in another direction, and then the rank and file are going in another direction, and we don't all know where we are going to, we're not going in the same direction, that is a recipe for failure. And it has to be a living document, just like a map. If I was traveling from Lagos to Damaturu, and I had never been to Damaturu, and I was going by road, I will need a map. Nowadays, thank God, we have Google Map, we have Waze and all what's not. But even when it was an analog map, not a digital map, you still have to refer to your map at every point in time to make sure you're still on the right track, you're still going to end up where you wanted to end up, and that you are making good time. And there's a fixed target. The target is Damaturu, using very simple examples. I really love simple examples because it's easier to convey thoughts with simple examples. Now, the things that your goal or your vision, where you are going to, will help you do is your mission statement. Your mission statement will help you know what you stand for and what you want to focus on. Your mission statement will keep you, and I always say your mission statement keeps you honest, so that when all of the temptations to delve into new terrain or new experiments in business, when those come up, you remember what your mission statement is. You remember who you are as an organization. You remember what you stand for. So when you start the year, you know what you stand for, so that when you end the year, you are not light ways away from that. It's the mission statement or your vision or your goal. It helps make explicit your aspirations or your reason for being. Why does your business exist? Please don't say your business exists to make money. That's a secondary reason. There's a main plot or a main plan why your business exists. Your business could exist to eradicate poverty. Your business could exist to educate women folk. Your business could exist to change the way women see themselves. Your business could exist to provide an alternative to the junk food we have. Your business could exist for whatever reason. I can't tell you why your business should exist, but you should know why your business exists. And that should be ground zero. This encapsulates your values, your vision, your attitude towards your employees and your customers. This is who you are. So when you think about your vision, you cannot go far from who you are when you know what you are. Then this whole thing I'm talking about also acts as a source of motivation and commitment. It helps the people who work with you, your people, to identify with the organization. What that does is that you are all marching to the beat of the same drum. It promotes a sense of purpose and commitment. So that, yes, true. When the going is tough, this sense of motivation and commitment is what keeps your people with you. It also guides action, helps focus attention on specific targets. So you're not on a shooting range and you're just targeting everything in front of you. You have a purpose, you have a focus. It directs your effort towards important outcomes, and I'll explain those outcomes later on. Finally, it's a standard of performance. If you don't know what it is you're supposed to deliver, how would you know when you have delivered it? So your knowing your vision, knowing your goal helps as a standard of performance. It serves as your key performance indicator. It provides standard performance assessment that you can go back and you can revisit and you can say, yes, we did a good job, but we can do better next year. It helps you actually to interrogate your processes, interrogate your activities, interrogate your achievements as well. So I hope that is clear. Now, there are levels of goals and plans. Whenever you hear me talk about goals, you will never hear me talk about goals in one side and plans in one side. They go together. One is the arrowhead. I call it the arrowhead. It's the what is the where. Where are we? What are we here for? And that's your mission statement. Some people will always say, okay, your mission statement, your vision statement. Well, that I don't want to just delve into that because it just takes more time. But know that what is the statement of what you want to achieve? Your mission. What are we going to achieve? Where are we going to achieve it? And then this mission statement is broken down into your strategic goals and plans. This is where senior management works. Your senior management thinks about the strategic goals and the strategic plans. I will talk about that later. I'm just giving you an image to put in your head. And then you now have your tactical goals and plans. And after that, you now have your operational goals and plans. These things tell us what are we doing, where are we doing it, how are we doing it, when are we doing it, with whom are we doing it. So you can see there, we're talking about an external message and an internal message. So your mission statement is looking outside, is telling your investors, your customers, your suppliers, the community, all the stakeholders, while the internal messaging are marching plans for senior management, middle management, and lower management. I'll talk more about that later. I totally love Peter Drucker. I wrote my thesis, my first degree thesis on his management, some of his management theories. And he says that any business going into business should have 8 goal areas. One is marketing and sales. So as a business now, as a small, medium scale enterprises, you need to have a goal for marketing and sales. You need to have a goal for how you will reach your customers, how you will sell to your customers. Now, this entire slide is an entire masterclass on its own. So I'll just speak to it and move on. You also need to have goals in the area of innovation. How do you innovate? How do you innovate in terms of your product? How do you innovate in terms of your people? How do you innovate in terms of your processes? What about your productivity? How can we be productive as an organization? What does productivity look like to us? If you're a kind of company that has, let's say you operate in a garments industry and you provide ready-to-wear garments, how productive are you? What, in the sense of quality assurance, quality management, what goals do you have there? What processes do you have in that realm? If you are also possibly a restaurant, how do you measure productivity? You cannot, and I emphasize, you cannot leave these things to chance. You have to look at each of these things individually. You need to sit down. Don't forget, your strategic goals are for senior management, and I'll explain that later. So senior management needs to think about all of these things, these 8 things I'm talking about. Your physical and financial resources. Are you mixing your personal money with your business money? What is the plan? What is the goal? Do you want to sell your business? Do you want to sell a portion of your business? Do you want to secure funding? What about profitability? What is the goal for profitability? And I'll tell you later how you can express all of these goals. What about managerial performance development? You are the manager. What are your goals or what are your plans for developing managerial competence? What about worker performance and attitude? This is where training comes in. This is where culture comes in. I always tell people, never just hire for skill. Hire for attitude and train for skill. So you need to have people, just like I said, who think like you and are running in the same direction. And I know someone said, oh, Liz, why are you saying someone that thinks like me? Don't I need some like divergent opinions? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you should have people that will only be saying yes to you. I'm saying that the people who work in your organization should have the same values as you, should have the same drive as you. It makes it easier to move forward. Then lastly, have a goal in the area of public responsibility. Now, this is not only CSR, this is also your public responsibility in the quality of goods you put out, in the quality of information you put out, in the quality of interaction with your stakeholders, with your investors. Now, as a business, you need to have goals and plans in this area. You need to have, just like it says here, strategic goals and plans, tactical goals and plans, operational goals and plans. And I will explain that later. Yeah? Peter Drucker said, managing without objectives is like taking a trip without knowing the destination. So if you are managing and you don't have objectives or goals along this area, you are taking a trip without knowing your destination, then how will you know when you've arrived there? Yeah? Everyone always tells me this, oh, Liz, you talked about goals and you never mentioned the holy grail of goals. That's the SMART. I missed one, sorry about that. Specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, and time-bound. I will explain that later. Now, your goals and plans, as you saw from that triangle, you have three levels. You have strategic goals and plans. This is where your management says, where does the organization want to be in future? The management creates a blueprint that defines our activities and resource allocations. Then it hands it over to middle management. So it sets out, this is our mission, this is our vision, and then it hands it over to middle management. Now, middle management looks at this and now defines outcomes and objectives that divisions and departments must achieve. Your finance department, your production, your factory. The plans should be designed to help execute major strategic plans. That means what is happening at this level must derive from the strategic goals and plans, and it must help fulfill those strategic goals and plans. And I hope that that's clear. Once we've done this, we now hand it over to department heads. So let's say your sales director, your factory director, your shipyard director is in middle management. They are looking at your tactical goals and your plans, and then they hand it over to your departmental heads, where they now look at operational SMART objectives, KPIs, expected from units, work groups, and individuals. Can you see how your living document, your blueprint that you, management, came up with is now broken down and handed over, almost like handing over a baton, almost like handing over a marching orders, and everything connects to each other. And it starts strategic, tactical, and operational. Don't forget that. Please do not forget that. This is the most important part. So the second most important part, if I may say, the most important part is these goal areas. Yeah? Don't forget them. Marketing or sales, innovation, productivity, physical and financial resources, profitability, managerial performance development, worker performance and attitude, and public responsibility. If I start to go into these things individually, it's an entire, almost like a half-day class. So please, you may want to just go back and read up these areas. It's very important. Now, I said I'll tell you about how you express your goals. You express your goals as statements of desired outcomes or expectations. You use doing words, verbs. You don't say things like, we will win. That's really not, it's not a specific word. We will achieve, we will increase, we will eliminate, we will reduce. Those are the kinds of words I'm looking for, or we are looking for. Words that will marshal our people to action. They must be expressed to show movement. Either you are reducing something or you are increasing something. You are eliminating something or you are becoming. You are providing or you are contributing. You are building. You get the point. That's how you express. And there's something about the human mind. When you express goals in that way, it's easy for people to listen and hear it as marching orders and take it as such and run with it. Now, it must be expressed in a way that it motivates, it's flexible, it's specific, it can be done. It is written so that people can refer to it tomorrow. And then it must be understood. You have to write something that can be understood. That's why if you're talking as a financial director, you don't say, You don't use jargon when you're expressing your goals, whether it be your strategic plans or your strategic goals, or your tactical plans or tactical goals, or operational plans or operational goals. It must be understood it must be presented in a way or expressed in a way that rank and file can understand it. Yeah. Anyone who knows me knows that this is my best quote in the world. And it says it's by a military strategist called Sun Tzu, a Chinese military strategist. And he says, strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Now, tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. I always tell people when I teach about goal setting, think about the strategy as your goals and think about the tactics as your plan. So if you have goals and you don't have plans, you may get to Uhuru. You may get to where you want to get to, but it's a very slow and arduous process. Now, if you have plans and you don't have strategy, that's the noise before defeat. You will fail. So you must have goals. You must have plans. You must have that mission statement. You must have that strategic goal. You must have the strategic plan. You must have the tactical goal. You must have the tactical plan. You must have the operational goal. You must have the operational plan. And everyone at this level, at the various levels of management, and I'm talking about from senior management to middle management to rank and file, must see this. They must be able to articulate this. So it takes work on your part. It takes discipline on your part. You are creating a blueprint. You are creating a map. You are creating something that probably has never been seen before, is unique to your company. And you are putting in the work to ensure that your company gets to where it's meant to get to. Now, that's the point I want to make. Yeah? So, having said that, I want to now jump right into customer retention strategies. This is another big topic. Excuse me. Customer retention refers to a company's ability to turn customers into repeat buyers and prevent them from switching to a competitor. It indicates whether your product and the quality of your service pleases your existing customers. Is the lifeblood of your business. Think about this. Let's say, for example, you are Mr. Biggs, and there's a new kid on the block. Let's say Mrs. Biggs. Two companies, Mr. Biggs, Mrs. Biggs. Similar name, doing the same thing, providing fast food. The strategy we were looking at here is Mr. Biggs' strategy to prevent buyers from switching to Mrs. Biggs. It's as simple as that. And the bottom line of that is customer loyalty and customer value and relationship. I have this quote I love to quote. I pulled up some years ago. It says, if a customer has had a bad experience with a company and becomes less inclined to do business with it in future, the firm loses value at that very instant with the customer's change of mind. It does not matter that the customer might continue doing business normally for a few weeks or even a few years. The customer's intent has changed, and so the customer's lifetime value has declined. The key of a customer retention strategy is to ensure that you do not lose the customer lifetime value, that it does not decline. Rather, it increases. The customer must see you as valuable. It's not enough for you to say, oh, we don't have complaints. It's possible that customers are complaining, but you're not hearing. And I want to talk to a particular slide, and it's not unique to me. The source, you can see the source there is attributed, but I want to tell you a story, okay? So let's say you have a business and customers come into your business. Either of two things will happen. Either the customer is delighted or the customer is dissatisfied. Statistics show that when a customer is delighted, the customer will go and tell 5 people. And 5 people, each of them will tell 2 people. It's good news after all. Good news does not sell. So how many people in total have heard about your customer strategy or the customer experience? 16. That's decent, isn't it? But let's look on the flip side. The customer comes in and the customer is dissatisfied. Now, statistics shows that 30% of the customers that are dissatisfied will come back and complain. 30%. It will be foolhardy of you to say that, well, only 30% complained, and so everything is hunky-dory. That is not where I'm going to. I'm going to the 90% who don't complain. Instead, they walk and they talk. They may not even defect, but already, as you can see, the lifetime value has declined. They walk and they talk. And it's bad news. It's bad news. Bad news sells. So each of these people will tell 11. And each of the 11 will tell 5. Do the math. At the end of the day, 67 people would have heard about the bad service. That could be catastrophic to your company. Now, this 67 already have a bad opinion about you. Some of this 67 may have been one of those whose lifetime value has declined, and they are just looking for the next excuse, looking for the next competitor that will give them a reason to leave you. This is how businesses fail. They fail on the back of customer experience. So it's very important to say, oh, we retain all of our customers, but how is your customer experience? There are two factors here: relationship and brand loyalty. You need to keep this in your back pocket. Research shows that customers view their relationships with brands similarly to their relationships with friends. And as with friendship, customers can feel betrayed by a brand. Customers can feel undercut by a brand. Customers can feel betrayed, more or less betrayed by a brand. So why do we bother with these strategies? I'm sure you're looking for the strategies. I'll tell you later. Just give me a minute. Because customer retention is more cost-effective than customer acquisition. It's easier to retain a customer you already have. It's easier and cheaper, not just with money, but with effort, to retain a customer than to acquire a customer. Positive word of marketing as well. Don't forget, look at this. Look at the figure there, 67 against 16. You want multiples of this 16 to overcome this 67. You do. Positive word of marketing. Loyal customers are more likely to tell their friends and family about your brand. So you actually you're actually getting advertisements that you don't pay for. The bottom line is that increasing retention rates by just 5% can increase revenue by sometimes 25 or sometimes even up to 95%. Yes, retention. Harvard Business Review says that acquiring a new customer can be 5 to 25 times more expensive than holding on to an existing one. I didn't say it, Harvard Business Review said it. So what are the strategies? There's so many strategies you can come up with, but I'll share a few with you. One is speed. A lot of times we don't see speed as a strategy. We see speed as a consequence of service, but it's not. It's actually a strategy. You need to work your processes such that from the customers moving from one point of service to the next point of service, it's fast and it's seamless. A customer goes into a bank and spends 15 minutes and comes out. And another customer goes into the same bank, the same transaction, and spends 5 minutes. Who do you think will be happy with that bank? What about personalized interactions? There's a course I take called Remember Me. I shop a lot on Instagram. I'm sure many of us do. And this particular person I used to buy a lot of stuff from. And one day I sent a message to her, and I bought, I think, like 4 or 5 times. And I felt we had never seen before. We've never seen ourselves personally before. But I felt, oh, no Nigerian parents. Hey, sis, how far? How now? And the response was very cold and very abrupt. And I'm like, okay. And I knew it wasn't a staff that was working. She works her own Instagram. So I'm like, okay, so we have not gotten to that level yet. I'm the kind of customer that I appreciate personalized interaction. So it's important to remember your customer's name, remember your customer's preference. This is where your CRM, your customer relationship management system, will come in, where you have a database, you keep mining for information. What are your customers' preferences? What's your customer's size? Customer will let a lot of things drop in conversation with you. If you are talking with someone who sells clothes, one time or the other, the customer will tell you, oh, red is my favorite color. Put that down. Put that down, because when you deploy this strategy, it will wow the customer. What about investing in your employees? Now, this is one that keeps me up at night. Investing in your employee is the fastest way to retain your customers, the easiest way and the cheapest way to retain your customers, because your employees are your surface area for interacting with that customer. Your customers will interact with your employees. If your employees are not trained, if your employees are not happy. I remember there was a bank years ago that said, happy customer, happy bank. Yeah. It's so important, because your employees will deal with your customers the way you deal with them. So it has to be a strategic thing. What about customer touch points? You have service points and you have flash points. Service points are the places where service occur. Either if you go back to the bank analogy, either at the till, or at the teller point, or the flash points. The flash points could be your ATM points, where anything can happen. Your service points are predictable areas where service occurs. While the flash are the areas that are not predictable, something could happen. There could be a flash of bad service. So you have to manage your service points strategically, and you have to plan for unforeseen situations and circumstances at the flash points. Then what about your processes? Do your processes take into cognizance the fact that these customers are interacting with you? Does it bring ease? Does it show respect to the customers? Does it show that you appreciate the customers? And my mentor, John Shaw, says that a lot of service organizations are dogged with stupid rules. And when you ask the employee, why do you have this rule? The employee lamely says, that's how we do it. Meanwhile, it's a stupid rule. Now, I've talked about gathering customer feedback. You also must gather customer complaints. That is a retention strategy, because it's not enough for the customer to complain and you solve it at that point. You need to go back and interrogate that complaint. Why did it happen? Is it possible that other people are going through the same thing and are not complaining? How can we stop this from happening? This is also a retention strategy. Don't forget, I said it's about relationship and loyalty. Yeah. Then also, you need to give customers an incentive for being loyal to you. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time your service provider, your telco service provider, gave you credit just because you'd been with them for 1 year or 5 years? That's a lacuna there. That's something that would make someone stay with somebody. That's something that will make me feel, oh, I'm not just a number, I'm not just a figure, I'm appreciated. Now, these are some strategies that are easy to deploy. In dealing with these strategies, in working through these strategies in your organization, you can actually evolve strategies depending on your niche or your market. But these are general, very general things: speed, personalized interaction, invest in employees, managing customer touch points, gathering customer feedback, and giving incentives for loyalty. Improving customer retention means improving customer experience. So the ground zero of customer retention strategy is your customer experience strategy. What does the customer experience when they interact with you? I'll give you 2 examples. Unfortunately, they are not Nigerian examples, because I'm yet to find a company, and this is in my small world. Yeah, these 2 companies, Amazon and Zappos. Zappos has historically, over years, won best customer service company in the world. And what does Zappos do? They actually sell shoes. Now, one thing that Zappos did is that they wanted to be more empathetic during the pandemic. So they started a hotline where customers could call or chat with a support team about anything. Now, Zappos is not a physical store, it's an online store. So it was easy for them to create this. Now, I can actually do a case study on Zappos and their various strategy to manage customer experience. But this is one thing they did. It's unique. It shows the customer we care. It shows the customer, I understand what you're going through. And in the last few years, everyone needs a listening ear. And the outcome of that was that customers were calling to just chat, and they would end up buying Zappos shoes. And so Zappos was selling shoes, but they did not put selling shoes at the front. They put the customer experience first. What about Amazon? 65% of customers want to buy from companies that offer quick and easy online transactions, while 45% of customers gave Amazon the highest marks for service in this reason. There was something Amazon did. People thought that during the lockdown, during the pandemic, their services on their service promise would actually reduce. It actually got better. People started to have more positive experiences, who were getting things delivered same day. And it was intentional. They hired more people, they opened more factories, and they were ready to deliver service. Yeah. So that is me done for now. I'm hoping that when we take questions, we'll be able to take questions. I'll get some very interesting questions from you. Nura.
Thank you very much, Liz. And I mean, I myself have a lot of questions from all that you've said, but I'll take it down and we will bring them up later. I know it sounds sometimes overwhelming when you hear things like vision and mission statements and things like that. Sometimes those things are just put on walls and offices, and what do they really mean? And we have had some questions from people where they are small businesses. How do we apply these concepts to a two-man business, a one-man business, and the rest, which we can, right? So we will bring those up later in conversation. But before then, let me launch a poll. And if everyone on this call can just take the poll for a minute before Ibrahim starts his own presentation. And then we will gather some of your questions from Liz's presentation and bring them up for answering later. So thank you so much, Liz, for this insightful discussion. Okay, so the poll is up, and
interesting poll results.
Yeah.
How is it going?
It's going. It will help us with profiling who our audience is, right?
Okay, so yes, I can see that people are voting, and I will give maybe another 10 seconds for us to finish this poll. Will you plan more in 2022, at least after seeing Liz's presentation? I hope this helps us in understanding better. I know that, like Nurato had mentioned, there'll be a Q&A after. So we have 5 seconds left. 3, 2, and 1. I think Naruto, you can end the poll. Let's see the results. Interesting. Everyone wants to plan.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. So let's see. The next one is where do you stand in terms of your business or your side hustle? if you have both or just one. There's plenty side hustlers. Like almost everyone here is a side hustler.
So what's the question, Rotu? I can see it.
Where do you stand? So basically, do you own a business? Do you have a side hustle? Or I do not own a business, but I am planning to start a business or a side hustle. So, I mean, this gives you a snapshot of what it's like in Nigeria. So almost everyone is a side hustler here.
So is the poll over?
Yeah, let me share the results.
Woohoo! You see how hard it is to run business.
Yes.
You always need to have a side hustle.
Yeah.
Before diving in full time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Makes
let me
sense.
move on to the next question, which is, are you employed or self-employed? I'm sorry, it's, are you an employer or do you employ?
That will make a very interesting poll question if you're employed or self-employed. But this is for your business or side hustle. Do you employ anyone, or
Yeah.
you are the only one in the business?
Yes.
Okay.
Time is almost up. You have 50 seconds left.
Perfect. Okay. Great.
So it's
So
almost,
the result is showing that most people are self-employed and some people actually have employees. Right? Okay. So
we have
should
the
we
final one. Let's just do the
yeah?
last one, which is business profitability. Wow. Mhm. Okay. Interesting. I'm surprised no one is speaking honestly, I don't know, because I speak to a lot of people who say, honestly, I don't know.
Well, I can answer that question. Since I'm not allowed to vote, I'll tell you my own choice. Let me ask you, Norotu, is your business able to turn a profit annually?
Honestly, I don't know at this point. Since the
Okay, that's
pandemic,
one.
yes.
That's
So
one.
I've answered
I
that question.
I think Liz Taylor will be on
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Liz, what is your answer? Are you able to turn up a profit
Me?
annually? Elizabeth, there.
Oh, Liz.
She's,
For
She's
me,
yes.
yes.
yes, actually we are. Because
Awesome.
we keep,
See,
yes,
that's
we
why
are.
you're the one teaching us the way.
if, if the
Because
teacher is not turning profit,
we
there's
participate
problem.
in what?
Okay, so these are the results, and thank you for participating. So Ibrahim, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Like the saying goes, let's start by sharing my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen. If the answer is yes, then we will fly through this presentation. My goal here today is to talk about a few things about your business and side hustle and what you need. Let's spend focused on the planning side of things, and this will be more practical in terms of the doing side of things. So, by quick introduction, my name is Ibrahim. Very quick facts about me. I am a graduate of Mass Communication, University of Lagos. I started as a self-taught web developer, and one of my major achievements was that we helped, or I was a product manager in a company that, how will I describe it? We built the first sort of internet network with a new technology in Abuja, Nigeria. Then I gradually moved to app development, where we developed applications for Guaranteed Trust Assurance, which is now Mansard, and the Voice of America, as well as other small customers. I also, like Nuratu had mentioned earlier, ran an investment program and worked with a technology incubator where I supported more than 30 startups, and the incubator as a whole, since inception, has supported way more than 250 startups, and more than 1,000 people have had some form of interaction or activity with that. Right now, I'm running Delali.com, which is an income and expense managed tool for micro and small businesses to enable businesses run effectively. That is, to keep track of how you're invoicing your clients, who is owing you, generate your receipts, track your expenses, among others. So we can start. So, I will go back a bit to start on an idea. I think it's always good to start. And one of the key things when starting a side hustle or a business, like most of you are side hustles. So from side hustles, you can actually evolve your side hustle into a business. And like I said, I'll start with, first of all, the idea. What is an idea? And yes, I can close this. Oops. Okay, my fault. Sorry about that. So, what's a business idea? An idea is sort of like, what I like to call your concept, something that you've conceptualized, that you now take it and convert it into a product or service that enables you make money, right? Also, that's for a business idea. A business idea can also be impact based. It's not everything. Your definition of profit is different depending on which sector or what your focus is. Some people, their focus is more of impact, which is how can you have a positive effect or impact on society, the environment, people, among others. So that's the whole concept of what I call an idea. Now it's based on a certain characteristic, which is, what should your idea be? Your idea should be innovative. That means that it's different. It's solving a problem. Now, in terms of innovation, yeah, many people think that you always have to create a new idea that no one has done before. You may just be innovating on something that already exists. It should be problem solving. How are you solving a problem for people? How is your idea unique? And where are you going to make money from? I mean, how is this idea going to generate income for you? So, how do you find the perfect idea? I think there are 5 tips that I like to give. And number one is understanding your customers. Who is your customer? Who is the person that is going to use your product or service? Once you define that, it makes it a lot easier for you to sell your products or services to that customer. Again, the second thing is passion. You find out that most of the people that are able to drive and run business, they are driven by their passion, or it's something that it's sort of like a hobby, where when you're running a business or when you're running your side hustle, you never get tired, because you're always looking forward to going to work. And that's why there's this saying that people that are passionate and are doing business out of passion, they say they've never worked a day in their life because they're doing something that they enjoy. So you have to be driven by passion, because business is hard and there are many, many down days and very few up days. So what really gets you out of bed to say, okay, I'm going to continue this, I'm driving towards a goal, is your passion. You also need to understand who your competition is, what they do, why people are, or why customers are adopting or using your competition. You need to understand what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, so you know how to position yourself in the market. Number four, cash flow. Cash flow is very, very important in business, because if you don't have the cash to run, you have problems. One example was, we're running one business, and one day we ran out of cash completely. Just everything was grounded to a halt. We had to go borrow money from friends and family to keep us afloat. Yet the business was making a profit. So being able to plan for your cash flow is extremely important. And finally, um, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? You are the one that is going to drive this business in and out, to grow it. So the other thing that you need to do is that when looking at problems or looking at your side hustle, you need to understand if the problem is worth solving. There's so many people that come up with great ideas, but at the end of the day, there's no customer or there's no market for that idea. So it is something that you need to understand and see whether that problem is worth solving. So, for example, I used this example the other day. Like I said, what's one problem that I see? Most people that get married, or the wedding market or the wedding industry, you find out that weddings are super stressful, especially when you are looking for someone, to a vendor or a specialist, to handle one thing or the other. You don't even know where to go, right? If I had, uh, let's say, a service, or somebody that is an event planner, or someone that will handle everything A to Z for me, maybe I will have used that person. But the question is, how many, if I choose to be that person or that business that supplies this service, how many people are in the market, or how many customers, or how big is that problem? If it is a problem that only 50 people have every year, and for me to really run as a business, I need a market that has 1,000 people, then maybe that problem is not worth solving, right? This is just a quick example of Life Bank, which is a company that set up a blood supply service, where they supply pints of blood or so to hospitals. They saw that there was a gap in the market, which was, there were several inefficiencies in service delivery for blood in Nigeria. So they said, okay, their own mission is to make get critical medical supplies faster, cheaper, and safer to their patients, as well as their hospital partners. So you need to understand the pain points. Like I said, when starting a business, you need to think about, when you understand the pain points. Like they say, a shoemaker, I mean, it's he who wears the shoe that knows where it hurts, right? But a shoemaker is very important, because they're able to empathize, they're able to understand. They may have experienced it, but they listen and understand, where is that point in the shoe that is pinching you. What is the problem? And once you start to understand, you will be able to come up with solutions for them, right? And that's basically explains this next slide, which is, you understand their problems, right? Once you do, then you now look and say, okay, how big is this problem? How many people have, or how many businesses, or in the market, where does this problem lie? Right? I can give different examples of solving big problems. So, for example, I said, still, I'll stick with the photography industry because I was into photography, and one of the things I loved doing it was a hobby for me. So I noticed that in the market there was a gap in getting a good photographer to take really excellent pictures at a competitive price. So I started talking with people to say, okay, how is this a challenge for you? Some of them will say, they'll get photographer, the guy won't deliver on time, or this problem or that problem. So I started looking at all the problems and saying, okay, how do we tackle this? Then the next question I ask is, how big is this problem? Can I get the number of customers I need to be profitable as a business? Right? And I looked at it and said, oh, yes, our population is young. So every week, every month, there's always a wedding, not just a, but many weddings. How many of them engage the services of photographers? X number. How many of them can afford this price point? X number. Then I was able to break down the market further, and I saw that this was a problem that was worth solving. This is another example in South Africa, Digs Connect. They made a really cool platform because students had problems with accommodation. They had a student to room ratio of, I think, 100 students to one room or so. So they made this platform to make it easier for students to find accommodation and also for property owners to list their rooms or accommodation available to students and connect them, right? Then you start talking about how do I create, or how do I solve, or how do I build my business, right? I like this quote from Steve Jobs that says, everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. So why I love this is that anyone that sets their mind to it and are passionate about what they do can actually create and build a business, right? And this brings me to design thinking, where we talk about just basically how you sort of build your business. All this sounds like, I don't want to call it rocket science, but it sounds like, nah, I'll just do a business. But the surprising thing is that when you follow through these very simple rules, it makes it very, very easy for you to identify a challenge, identify the opportunity, test it in the market, and see whether it fits without you wasting time. This entire process that you see here, you can actually do it in 1 week, 2 weeks, or so. So, for example, you see that you first of all, when you listen, if you recall the concept of, I mean, the example of the shoemaker, you empathize. Where is it you sit down with people and ask them the right questions, ask them questions that, okay, what is the challenge you face? And by the time you have these conversations with people, you start to pick up, you let them speak, and you start to pick up what their biggest challenges are, especially around the idea you're trying to develop. You also sit down and define what these problems are, and you come up with your idea. Then you make a prototype, right? Depending on business, and I'll be happy to take questions where we can look at each person's business and apply the rules of design thinking to it. Then you test. The beauty of this is that you don't have to go out and spend 6 months building, making a shop, doing all sorts of things before testing. You can actually test these things out very, very quickly. Then you know whether it is worth doing or not, right? Test everything. I'll give you another example. There was this very interesting young man that came to meet me and said, "Hey, I want to do something in banking. People are having problems with transferring of money. Blah 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 blah." I said, "Bros, have you tested this idea?" And he said, "No," but he wants to go and build the product and everything. I said, "No, don't build the product. Go out and talk to people. Talk to about 10 people. Find out what their challenges are regarding all around your idea of this money transfer and everything." So he went out. After a week, he came back and said, Ibrahim, nobody, everybody said that is not their problem. I said, really? said, so what happened? He said that he spoke to everyone and they were like, they don't really have a problem of transferring money because if they have money in their account, they can use mobile banking or the short code and transfer the money. So that wasn't their issue. Because of that singular testing and trying to understand what people's problems were, it saved him more than 6 months of going to build a solution and taking it out to market and no one uses it. So that's the whole idea of testing. The next thing is, we can talk about prototyping. Once you're able to test these ideas, you can now go and build a prototype. In terms of prototype, you may even have it as just a piece of paper like this, where you've just drawn out something and said, oh, this is how it's going to work. And you go and talk to 4 or 5 people. Before you know it, you have come up with a solution. There are a few other things that I probably would like to talk about in terms of prototyping your idea and why you need to use it, the prototyping method using the lean canvas model by this book, Eric Ries. Again, I'm someone that it takes me 1 year to read a book, but this is a very, very good book that I'll recommend to anyone because it helps you to sort of structure your idea and this theory of the feedback loop, which is you build something, but you build very small. You measure it by testing it with potential customers or a few user groups that you set. Then you learn from the feedback and go back to add or subtract or improve or change things around, right? And finally, I will stop here after this, which is a business model canvas. Now, we work a lot with people who we need to do business plans. And business plans are expensive, they take time, and you're still not sure of the results because it's all about execution in the market. So, the goal of the business model canvas is to help you define your business, uh, identify your competitive advantage, plan for growth, look at the financial sustainability of that idea, and possibly how you raise funds for it. There are 9 sections of the business model canvas, which you see here from value proposition to customers to your relationships, channels, the key activities, partners, cost, key resources, and revenue. The whole idea of, like I said earlier, of the business model canvas is to enable you very, very quickly. It will take you roughly about maximum 2 hours to come up with a business model canvas. And from here, it gives you a very high level view of what your idea is, how you're going to reach your customers, who your customers are, how you're going to maintain a relationship with those customers, what are the key things that you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis, what are the resources you require, and who are the partners or people that you can work with to achieve this goal, right? You also look at how much is it going to cost you to set this up, and how are you going to make money? What are the sources of revenue from this? So that's how this is what a business model canvas looks like. We can do an exercise later that will highlight all these key points, like I said, all the channels and what have you about the business model canvas. When we were setting up Delali, we actually made a business model canvas to try to identify who our customers were, what was our unique value proposition, where were we going to generate revenue, and what have you. And finally, I'll go to numbers. Numbers. When setting up your business, I think one of the most important things for me when setting up anything, apart from just ideating and coming up with the idea, is your numbers. You need to understand your capital expenses. That is, what assets are you going to buy for the business when starting out? You need to understand how much you're going to be spending on a daily basis or on a monthly basis for your business. And with these two things, you can now come up with the right pricing strategy for and pricing for your products or services. Many people have this problem of pricing, and the mistake everyone makes is that they'll just go and say, oh, this person is charging this amount, and because of that I will charge 10,000 naira cheaper than what the next person is charging, and it's okay. Actually, it's wrong. So when I was starting the photography business, Mehoto, I sat down and wrote down, okay, how much is my equipment? What other equipment do I need? Okay, I need to get studio lights, I need to get this, I need to get camera, I need to get lens, this and that. Put all the numbers together, it was like maybe 1.2 million naira. But this asset, this camera and everything can last at least 4 years. So it's an asset. Then I asked myself, what is my operating expense? Most of you say you are self-employed and you're running this as a side hustle. I now said, okay, I am only available because I have a regular job. I'm only available on Saturdays and Sundays and partially Fridays to have events or to cover events. And I said, okay, what are my operating expenses? My transportation, my electricity, my phone bill, my marketing, my website, my own salary. I actually set a salary for myself and said, okay, I want to pay myself every month 200,000 naira. Don't forget, this is the business. There's the business and there's also me. I'm working for the business. So I said, oh, I want to pay myself 200,000 naira. That cost was in the operating expenditure. Then I looked at, because of all these things, I was able to look and say, okay, because of that, I need to do X number of events. And if I'm able to do X number of events, technically speaking, for me to cover my cost, I need to charge, let's say, 100,000 naira. That way, I can cover my cost of my equipment, cover my cost of operations, and pay myself a salary. And that was how I ran my business for as long as I ran it before I stopped. So I'm going to stop here because I know that we need time for Q&A, but thank everyone for listening, and we'll be open to answering questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for this insightful and detailed presentation. So also, just like Liz, as you were talking, a lot of things were popping to my head. And there are some questions, like I mentioned, that came in during the registration that relate to some of the things that you mentioned, which is why we're having this fireside chat now. So I would bring up Liz back, and then Liz, you there? So that we can address some of these topics and then move on to the Q&A side of things. All right, so side hustles. This is everyone's thing now. Everyone wants like an alternative stream of income, right? It's the way it is, right? And we are, I think almost everyone on this call, with the exception of you and a couple others, are in Nigeria. So we know that there are a lot of challenges that come with setting up a business, right? There are external factors that you cannot deal without. So when do you know it's time, or your side hustle has gotten to the point where it is strong enough to be your main hustle? This for either you or Liz.
Okay, I can go. When is it that it is time?
Mm-hmm.
Two things. When it's taking up more of your time than your main job. And number two, the most important, when there is enough income from the business, consistent income from the business that can pay you almost the equivalent of your salary, either close to what you are currently earning or even more than what you're currently earning. Once you have consistency in income and your revenue from your business that is consistent, right, then you are ready to take that leap. Sometimes that may happen in 12 months, it may happen faster, it may even take longer. So it all depends. Those are the two things I'll say are the key for moving from a side hustle, moving from your regular job to taking your side hustle as a full-time thing.
Awesome. Liz, same question. Liz, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, we can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. My screen is frozen for some reason, but I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, for me, I'll put income first. You need to be able to have stored up income that will keep your side hustle running so that it doesn't sputter and die 3 months into establishment as your main hustle. Another thing, you need to be able to have repeat customers. It's not enough to have sporadic 50 people who buy from you, who patronize you sporadically, and you think that those are your customers or clients. You need to be able to have a group of people who you are their go-to for that service or that product. You need to have them. Now, I can't tell you that you should have 100 or you should have 50, but it needs to be enough that it covers at least 1.5 minimum monthly of your expenses. So that for me, that was what I was looking at. My side hustle, my main hustle. So I'm able to have customers that I can count on, that my expenses will be met.
So the next question I have, I actually am very interested in knowing how to do this, and it's for you, Liz. It's visibility, right? There's a lot of challenge around business visibility, especially when it is a side hustle. How do you dedicate time to promote your business, ensure that it's out there while fulfilling obligations of a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah, 2 things come to mind, right? 2 things. One, you may have to, depends on how demanding your job is, you may want to outsource. There are people out there now who are virtual assistants. So you can actually reach out to a virtual assistant that is making your content for you. By visibility, what comes to my mind is social media visibility and maybe attending events. So I'm right now speaking about social media. So you may not have the time or the skills to come up with content that you're putting out on social media. So you may want to create an expense line for a virtual assistant who is creating, a copywriter who is creating copy for you as well. Now, for me, I went through it the hard way. I learned all of those things by myself, and I could have done it better. So don't go through what I went through by putting things out that are amateurish. Put things out there. Your business or your side hustle deserves the best. So put things out there that are the best. So work with good people. And there's so many people out there, several ranges. That's one. Number 2, I'm sure we've seen that meme all over the place that from 8 to 6 or 8 to 5, that's your paid employment. You're working on your paid employment. Then from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., you're working on your side hustle. That is very real. It is very, very real. Your time is not your own. You're nursing a baby, and you need to work on your baby every day. Literally every day. So there's a strategy for managing social media visibility. You need to be on social media. You need to be seen on social media. You need to be heard on social media, not only on your page, but on other people's pages as well. People who are your potential clients. And if I could recommend a book for you, it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's called, I don't know how many right hooks. Jab, 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 right hook. I think it's jab, 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 right hook. Well, by Gary V. It's a book that simplifies the marketing on social media. It's something that you should get that will help you with your visibility. So you come up as someone as authentic. You're not coming up as someone who's only there to just grab someone's money and go away. So that's very important for me where I'm sitting.
Ibrahim, do you have anything to add to that visibility question?
I think Liz has covered it, but I will say it all depends on context. Some people may say, okay, because of my job, I'm not able to be visible per se. And one of the things with business is that as much as people want to buy, depending on the type of business also, people want to know who you are to gain that trust. So you need to come out and talk more about what you're doing. And like she said, the Gary V book, which is not about collecting, but what are you giving out? You need to give to collect. So you need to start building that trust in the market. And once people identify with you, it becomes easier to sell to them. So two ways of looking at things is one, you need to be out there. Social media has made it easy. Some people spend all their time looking at other people's posts, while others are spending their time creating interesting engagements that drive that conversation or drives that visibility of you. So it depends on what you want to use. Media is social, but it's also business, and it doesn't have to be all business. You need to find a balance. So that's one thing that I will add to it. And finally, in addition to that, events. You go out there, you meet people physically at events. There are all these different kinds of trade fairs, all those small events that people hold, depending on, again, the sector that you are in, right? But whatever it is, attend these events. Network, network, network. By the time you start to build a network of people, just talk to them. Oh, I'm working on this, or oh, I am this. You'll be surprised that that person, even if they're not interested, something comes up, they remember you and say, oh yeah, I can remember Nuratu does this. Oh, let me call her. Or someone may be talking to me and say, oh, I need someone that can help me with my planning and strategy. Oh yeah, I attended a webinar with Liz. Elizabeth, please, can you do so and so? And that's how you start very, very early on in building that reputation online. For Liz, she said she did it the hard way. Same thing as me. I did it the hard way, as in I didn't freaking know anyone, you know? So we're literally walking into everyone's office saying I do this, and people, I beg, get out of here, I don't waste my time. You send proposals, you send this, but by the time you start building your network, you'll be surprised that, especially in Nigeria, one of the fastest ways of growing is referrals. However you treat your customer or that first person, right, is the one that is going to bring in your next 25 customers. So having that, again, visibility, it all depends on how you define it. Your visibility, even in front of the customer or your first contact, matters a lot. Yeah.
All right. So Liz, going back to your presentation and where you mentioned goal setting and planning for the year, creating a vision, and where you have senior management. In situations where you have a small business, say you have 3 people that are with you, the employer, and 2 other employees that you're running, how do you create a strategy or a vision for that group and ensure buy-in and build a culture of commitment and understanding with that 3-man group, which includes you? I mean, a lot of us are going into the new year and we want to have personal plans, personal strategic plans and goals that would drive our business forward, but might not have the luxury of having big corporations create that roadmap for us to follow. That is the senior management for us to follow. We are the senior management. So how do we do that in a small setting?
Okay, it's good that you asked that question. Thank you very much. Now, the business I run, my quote unquote business, Everright, right? Everright has me. It has an operations manager, and we have a driver. We're just 3 of us. Now, I sit down. It's my responsibility to set out our mission statement and our strategic goals. And then I sit down with my operations manager. We're actually meant to do that for the coming year, this Wednesday. And we start talking about our tactical goals. And then 2 of us sit down again and now start saying, how do these things impact everyday work? So it's just a concept, but for senior management and middle management and departmental heads and footmen. The fact is that you just need to do these things. You must dovetail your goals, however big they are, must be chunked into bite-sized pieces that you can run with every day. Now, that's for your organization. Now, when I teach goal setting for individuals, I teach it with a different methodology, not this methodology I gave you. I teach it in a sense with the methodology of the 8th wealth segment of your life. So if you are just one person and you want to live a fulfilled life, if you want to achieve your goals, you want to be productive as a person, you're looking at things like your inner life, your mental health, and things like that. You're looking at things of your health, you're looking at your career, personal development, your family, your finances, you're looking at things that impact adventure, those 3 things. They're a bit different. So it's a bit, the methodology, in my mind, is a bit different. Yeah. So if you're a side hustler, you need to sit down. Before I had 2 staff working on Everright, I had to sit down and dimension what was our strategic statement, our strategic mission statement, then what were our strategic goals and plans. Because without your strategic goals and plans, you cannot come up with your operational goals and plans. It's as simple as that. It's a process. So I don't know if you remember in mathematics then in school, they will give you a math problem and you know the answer, and your teacher will mark you wrong. Why? Because you did not show the workings. You did not show how you arrived at that thing. Because when you are able to show the workings, it tells you that you know the moving parts of your business. So when something is going off the rails, you are able to think back and work on it. You know exactly, because I'm having a problem with profitability. I came up with my mission statement. I came up with my strategic goals. That means there's something wrong with my strategic goal in XYZ area. So that's the way I would put it out. I hope that helps someone.
Yeah, I think it clarifies that. I mean, we can go on and on because this is exciting conversation. I'm enjoying and I'm learning as we're going along, but we're keeping to time. So my last thing is, which I think someone asked that in the registration. In this day and age where almost every single concept has been realized, right? We hear a lot about innovation. It's almost like you can't really come up with something new. And you go to business seminars and people say, oh, you have to have something new to offer. And that will make you stand out. And then you're thinking, but I like making cupcakes. Why can't I make it a business? Because everyone is doing it. Or I like makeup business, or I want to start Forex or whatever. But there are 1,000,001 people doing it. How does one drive innovation in a space where almost everything has already been done? This is for both you and Ibrahim before we take audience questions.
Okay. I'll give you a perfect example. When we were starting Delali, Delali is not something new, right? It's not something that you want to create digital invoices or receipts and everything. It's been done before, and it's a question that we get a lot from people. But what we saw and what really drove us to set up Delali in the first place was that all the solutions that were out there then, they just didn't work for me. And for me as an African business, I cannot conform to the standards of them in the US or in Europe. I mean, there's some unique challenge that we face. Again, I'll go back to the shoemaker thing. That the person that wears the shoe knows where it hurts. So those products did not really speak to what were the possibilities. And because of that, that was our innovation, right? How we could localize the product to the African business owner. That's one. Number two, when you look at innovation, like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. But you look at processes and you look at businesses that already exist, and the question is, how can I even make it 1% better? How can I improve this by 1%? Look at something like the TV, for example. You'll have thought that, okay, we have this flat screen TV now, it's very clear, it's HD, and every day there's something new that comes out on the TV that even makes it much, much clearer and much more realistic than before, where you think that it is not even possible, right? So those 1% improvements are also ways of innovating. It may even be an internal process that you come up with a formula that works, right? And that internal process will, at the end of the day, lead to better service or better product delivery, maybe from the cost perspective or from the satisfaction perspective of the user. So, another perfect example is tailors. We know how tailors drive us crazy. I'm not even talking women. Leave female, those tailors that sew clothes for women. Look at me when I'm sewing kaftan. Abakar, I still remember you. I'll never forget you. You stole four of my materials, right? Until today, I still can't find him, right? Ordinary tailors, you find out that some people are driving innovation in that space, whereby if I come, I'm able to take a note and drop my material, they'll just cut it small and put it in a way. That is innovation, and it's solving a problem. So that's, we can go on and talk about this, but that, for me, I'm very passionate about that definition of creating new stuff.
Please, innovation.
Yes, innovation is key, right? And for those who think that you've reached the edge, the far reaches of what your industry can do, my advice to you is talk to your customers. You'll be surprised what your customers will tell you that they need. Because a lot of service providers make the mistake. They think they know what's in the customer's mind. They think they know what makes the customer happy. Whereas the customer wants something entirely different, and they're just making do with the service you're offering. That is the closest thing to what they need. So you need to invest time. You need to, now Facebook, all the social platforms, LinkedIn have services that you can have features that you can put out polls. Leverage those tools and ask questions. Keep asking questions. If you can afford it, have focus groups. If you, I like this example that Ibrahim brought up, tailors. Do you know there's so much that there's so much left to be done. There's a big gap between being satisfied with your tailors and not being satisfied with your tailors. There's a gap, and they're waiting for you to come up with the solution to that problem. And that solution that you will come up with is that 1% that will set you apart from every other person that's providing the same service.
That's perfect answer. So, I mean, in keeping with time, let's move on to the audience. Anyone who wants to come up and ask a question? I see Umar Mohammed Zakari, you can see your face, so that means you want to ask a question. Just raise, anyone just raise, put the raise your hand emoji, and then we come to you. Does anyone have a question for Liz or Ibrahim? Going once?
People seem shy.
Oh,
why? We're all here to learn. Nobody,
someone waiting for somebody to build the cat.
Exactly.
Says he has a question in the chat.
Okay, sorry, Samuel Adigun's hand is up.
Okay, so then let's unmute him.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Samuel,
All
can
right.
you hear us? Good,
Yes, I
good.
can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you. We can
Okay.
hear you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, moderator, and the speakers. It's been very enlightening and educating. My just a question of iteration. How can we get this recording after this class so that we can learn more from what you said, go over your advice, go over your lectures, and kind of assimilate more. Then two, can the moderator allow us get your contact? So if you have questions later regarding setting up a business, regarding challenges in putting in the finances, so we can send in a request to you to advise us on what to do and stuff like that. Those are the two questions I have. Thank you.
Okay. Before you jump off, very, very quickly, it'll be great to, since we can't see you,
Yes.
it'll be great for you to tell us what you do. Do you run a side hustle? Do you run a business?
Okay.
Just very quickly, maybe what the challenges that you face so far.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I run a business. I'm into livestock commodity trading. I supply livestock to most eateries around town. Basically, the major ones where you have your lunch and all that, like Booker Huts, the place,
Nice.
Mama Cars, and the rest of it. So, what has been my challenge over time, which I was listening to you keenly, is as a small business, not having a lot of staff strength, but bookkeeping and accounting. So, if you can advise us on how to move from paper invoicing to, like you were saying during your presentation, to move into maybe digital invoicing, reminder of payment and balance and all that. So we can account what we've expended, what we've put into the business to buy stock, what we've gotten back, and how to know our profit. Now, this is by the time they pay you, even they pay you 2 or 3 times, you must have spent some
Exactly.
money. And by the time you could see what your check, you have a shortfall of some few thousand. Like, how did we spend it? So putting together our books is usually a challenge, particularly for me. I had to put exercise book. I know this day and age, we don't use exercise book anymore. So how can you advise us to better manage
Okay.
our books and keep our records of accounting and expenditure? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. First of all, go to delali.com. I'm going to drop the link now.
Okay,
I have
please.
to. You can go to delali.com, sign up. It's very, very easy to use. And this was the problem that I also had as a business when I started, especially starting early. I think Dr. Nura too can remember when I was running my one of our businesses like 10 years ago, and they'll pay small money. Then after that, to collect the balance, even to take the balance from the client,
Exactly.
it's so low that you like, let me go and chase other things. So
Exactly.
I think that your challenge is two pronged. I think number one comes down to the planning, right? Like Liz had said, which is it's very, very important. We make this mistake of not defining who we are as a business and what our goals and objectives are, which is number one. I set my goals to say, what's my vision? Where do I want to be? Okay, I'm a livestock supply business. I am supplying to major clients. My goal is to be, let's say, the number one supplier of livestock to clean livestock to all eateries in Nigeria or in my area. Maybe that's your goal. Then you start breaking it down further, right? You start setting those objectives and goals. As a business, how do we want to bill our customers? How do we want to collect payments? No matter what you do, they say that the customer is always right. Customer tell you, oh, I'm going to pay you like this. By the time you start setting those goals to say, hey, we want to reach a point where we have these conversations with customers to say we're going to take 100% upfront or we're going to organize our books like this internally. You need to define some of these objectives very, very
Thank you.
quickly. So
Okay.
once you do that, it makes it a lot easier because, like Liz said, you may have something on a wall and say our objective is all our payments. We need to do it in a certain way, and it has to be an actionable objective, not very open ended. You may say, okay, all our invoices all invoices must be done electronically, full stop. Right? At the end of every month, we must balance our books to see who owes us, get a list of all the people that owe us. That's number 2. Number 3 objective, within first week of new month, contact all customers that owe us and send automatic reminders to them. By the time you set that, if no matter what technology you use, if you don't have those objectives set up, you will still fail. You'll still make the same mistake. So that's what I will say very, very quickly on that. Liz, do you want to continue?
No, I think that's spot on. But what I will add, you have that written down, but then everybody in your organization knows that this is how we do things, so that there's no room for deviations. You understand? And they have to understand why it is you're doing things like that.
Okay.
It's not because you don't trust them. It's just that it's in the DNA of your organization.
Yeah.
And also, you need to be able to define what is your value proposition.
Okay.
What is the value? Everything we're doing as small businesses, the nickel and dime and the nuts and bolts of it comes down to value. What value are we delivering? I learned very painfully. You think you're doing your clients a favor, and someone comes to you and says, "Oh, please, you're my friend. You do this. Could you do this for me? Could you cut this? Could you cut this corner? Could you give me this discount? Could you do this? Could you do?" That's all good and fine, but by and large, people do not value what they don't pay for. They don't value what they don't pay for. So even if it's a token, when I wrote my first book, my book came out. My mother paid me for the book. It may seem silly. It may seem silly, but then that's the truth. Seriously, you need to value what you deliver, and people will value what they get from you.
That vision is extremely important, and you being able to communicate with your team. Many people have this challenge of, man, I can't share all this kind of information with my staff, this and that and that. You'll be surprised. The key thing, like I said before, test everything. Try it. It may not work, and you try another way. You keep trying until you find the right formula that works for you.
Thank you very much.
Has your question been answered?
Yes, it has been answered. Thank you very much, Mr. Delali. I'll go on and register with that platform immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So does anyone else have a question? Do you have for Liz or Ibrahim? Well, I have the last question. It's my own personal question, right? It's a challenge I have.
I also had a question for Liz.
Okay.
So I don't know who should go first.
Okay. Well, since I'm going to close us out, you go.
Okay, Liz. You've talked a lot about planning, and 2022 is coming up. We always make this mistake of saying that, okay, January 2022, I'll set my plans for the year and everything. We have already started planning. We want to set those goals and objectives. The biggest challenge for us now is there's a long list of things that we've got to do, and we want to communicate it to the team. The first time we tried communicating it to our team, it felt overwhelming, right? But unfortunately for us, it is what it is, and this is just a tip. What we are communicating is just a tip of where we want to go. So my question is, how do we communicate, apart from our vision, but our plans for our next financial year? How do we communicate it in a very easy and clear way that people can understand, our team internally?
For me, the first thing, one quick win is let your team now. Management have to take ownership of your strategic goals. Then when you are now breaking this down into tactical goals, let the division heads be in that meeting. So they have the sense of buy-in. they have a sense of ownership, and they know where they were and the rationale, the reason for being where you were, what was the corporate mindset in creating that. And they've tailed it down as well. When they're now creating the operational goals and plans, the unit heads are part of it. Now, coming out of this, everyone will have KPIs. Now, they will see where these KPIs came from. They will see, for example, the easiest thing I can think of is I used to be a banker. So my divisional head will have an asset target. That means he will have the total number of, the total value of loans my division is meant to create for that period. Now, he comes back to us and says, okay, this is the asset target. And we now have to strategize. I will now say, okay, public sector, you have this part of the target, corporate banking, you have this part of the target, and then the group heads take it. Now, the public sector head will now go to his department and say, oh, this is what they've given us to deliver. In public sector, you have ministries. Ministries is what you deliver. Departments is what you deliver. Agencies, this is what you deliver. And then the department heads from the MD, and the A will now take it back to their teams. So what you've effectively done is chunked everything. People now know, where did this come from? How this? So you don't just create KPIs and someone just sees a KPI and says, oh, this is what you're supposed to deliver. But they take ownership of it because they are part of the creation of it. That, for me, is how to do it. Then I'm all about visual reinforcement. I love dashboards. So when I'm looking at anything, I see this is the target. I can see a picture This is the target, and I know where we are at every point in time, and I know what effort I'm meant to put to deliver. So that also helps as well. I had the pleasure of working in a departmental store in the UK, and there was a drive, last ditch drive to generate some money, revenue target. And we came up with this thing in the staff canteen. It's a company called Esselmont and Macintosh. In the staff canteen, it was my job. I drew a graph. Every day, I would put the total amount taken in. So when everyone would come for tea, would come for whatever, they will see that graph. They will see, this is where we're supposed to be, this is where we are. And they go back to their stations with an oomph to get better. And we're able to deliver on our target. So for me, those two things, get them involved in the creation process. And also, if you can, as much as you can, let there be a visual representation of the target or the goal or the plan. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much. You've just given me, like I said, put it in the chat, free consulting, because my meeting
I will send
with
you
my
the
team.
later.
Just use the Lali, no problem.
Yeah. So my final question is, or I might ask it later, so we stay on time. Yeah. So it's commingling of funds, right? And that is something that almost all business owners I speak with in Nigeria are facing, right? You're using money from maybe your salary to pay your employees in your business, or from one business to pay another business and whatnot. And that kind of makes you, in the poll question where I said, I'm not even sure, are you making profit or not? Because you're not able to really pinpoint which money went to where, right? I mean, I know the easy thing is to say, have a good accounting process, but how do you discipline yourself without allowing one business to fail and avoid commingling of funds between businesses?
In my opinion, no matter how small your business is, you have to have someone you're accountable to. That's helped me. It's not so much a board of directors, but I always advocate a board of advisors. Yeah. So these are people who help keep you honest. Because if you are the head honcho in charge, anything goes. based on you do whatever you want to do. And when your back is against the wall, you will break even your own rules.
Yeah.
So when you have you have a mentor that you can go to, or you have right now you have coaches who are business accountability partners. I have several businesses, small businesses that I do this for. So they pay me a monthly stipend. They can't pay my monthly fee. So they pay me a monthly stipend. And at the end of the year, we sit down and we decide, okay, where have we gone wrong? Blah, 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 blah. And there's complete transparency in everything they do. And I'm able to help them. Now, discipline is as discipline goes. You can only be as disciplined as you are disciplined, which is why you have this next level of accountability. You will start running away from your board of advisors when you know you are missing the mark. So if that relationship, and I always say, not everyone can be your accountability partner, not everyone can be your board of directors. It has to be someone who has sufficient weight that you respect the person, and then you are willing to open yourself up to that person. The person can add value to your business. Now, why do I talk like this? I talk as someone who has been there, who has used my salary several times to pay bills. So I had to go and meet someone who I respect the person's opinion, and I don't want to let the person down and say, okay, see, this is what is happening. And the person gave me a few tips and tools. I don't have my bank account and my personal account in the same bank. I don't have my bank account. I don't have an app for my bank account. I don't have that. It's so easy. So what the person told me, make it difficult for you to transfer money between yourself and yourself. Yeah, it may seem silly, but so far in the last 2-3 years, that's worked for me. If I want to withdraw money from my bank, I have to go through the motion for my business account. I have to go through the motions of getting out my checkbook, getting to sign, and in that whole process, I'm thinking about it, and you'll find out that something will happen, and I'll stop myself. Someone will say, but Liz, that's not a very scientific answer. Business is not all scientific, seriously. Sometimes you just need common sense answers or common sense solutions to your daily problems. And this is common sense, seriously.
Thank you very, very much. I am very excited that we have come towards the end of this. I mean, like Liz said, her time is money, our time, all of us is money. But as She Mentors, we try to give pro bono services, especially to women, to learn how to upskill their businesses. However, we were charitable enough to include several men. I think we even have more men on this call than women, don't we? Yeah. So the next time we get Liz, it won't be free. The next time we get Ibrahim, it will not be free. But if you want to register with us, this is our website. This is what you get. You get one-to-one career consultations, monthly upskilling support, digital webinar resources like this one, monthly email opportunities. We provide internship placements for the younger ones as well. And then these are the areas that we provide mentorship in. Basically, our portfolio of mentors are leaders in areas of technology, education, strategic management and leadership, project management, business, startup support, and career development. And this is where you can find all of us. These are our socials. We'll give you a few minutes to see if you can screen grab or whatever, and follow us.
And may I add, while we're screen grabbing, all of you can also share your socials in the chat. So we can also find you, and all of us follow each other and get to know each other. It's also good. Yeah.
Okay, so any final words, Liz?
Just one thing. If you're looking for me on social media, don't forget the Taylor. Just do Lispire and you'll find me. I have one of those names that if you put Taylor, you'll just confuse the internet.
We'll be seeing the movie.
You'll see Oyibo person.
The movie star Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes, just Lispire. That's why the name Lispire came up. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's been a really, really beautiful time. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we will be ending this call in a minute. If anyone wants to give us a feedback, want to talk about your feedback, what you've learned, we would really appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone. And nice to meet you. And hopefully we'll see you soon. And all the best with your businesses. We're always available, and we'll always do our best to share as much as possible within reason. So thanks.
Okay, in the absence of any other, let me look at the chat. Is there any comments unanswered? Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, everyone who has left comments. Thank you, Margaret. Yeah, it has been our pleasure sharing all our knowledge and experience with you. And for me, as she mentors, a huge thank you to Liz and Ibrahim. I know that we could never be able to pay you, but we are so grateful that you are one of those nationalists. You know, they say in Nigeria that people are mean and they don't share what they do. That is not true. The two of you are proof that that is not true. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was trying to speak, but I just realized that no one was hearing me.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you very much. Even though I joined the call very late, but I was able to grab quite a lot. Especially discussion about around strategic goals and planning. The issues of making sure that when you have a goal and you want to, extend that goal to the rest of the company, you must make sure that you carry along all the management staff in all the leads in your team. This is very, very helpful. And also the discussions around having a coach or mentors to guide you to ensure that, you don't slip off your goals. So yeah, everything that has been said is very, very helpful for me and very important, especially now I'm in the process of coming up with something as well. So yeah, that's why I really found it very, helpful and educative. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to more of such,
Next time you
engagement.
fail, Mohammed.
No problem. I'll
Time.
definitely come for the Lali. Yeah, I'll have one-on-one. Ibrahim, please.
no worries. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you
Thank you.
all so much again. And catch you on the next one next year.
All right,
Bye.
thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. We'll share the video and everything. So see you
Thank
all
you very
soon.
much. All right,
Thank you.
cheers.
Okay, bye. Okay, so we can stop recording now.